Hello, and welcome to my channel on human design. I think this is the warmest day I've ever tried to do a YouTube video. It's very hot here. So I will carry on and we'll jump into the questions from the viewers. A nice mixture, interesting mixture today. So I'm going to start with a question that was asked weeks ago, and I've been trying to fit it in. It's from Deep Learning for Growth, one of our regulars. And the question is, Dear Richard, I have a question about inner authority. When one follows it and does things for themselves, it makes sense. But how can we be sure that the inner authority of the specific person can help the person make correct decisions for their entire business or their country? For example, if someone is the Prime Minister and has an emotional authority, but he or she is objectively required to make a decision about foreign affairs, which is urgent. Or if the generator business leader is presented data about the market research and needs to decide where to take her business next. How can she make a decision that is correct business-wise solely on her sacral response, without considering the market conditions or without using her mind to evaluate the pros and cons of several options? And what if she has a co-founder with a different authority? Thank you in advance, Richard. You know, regarding prime ministers and presidents, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, most of it is already scripted, and I don't think they have that much power to make the decisions themselves. However, if you look at President Trump, he is an emotional manifesting generator. And you can see that he will make decisions, and then he will feel into it, and then he'll come back and he'll change it. I mean, this is what you see happening. Often when asked a direct question, he'll go, well, we'll see what happens, you know? And I think he's obviously been a businessman for a very long time. He's been a very successful businessman. And that should also tell you a lot about your second part of the question. What if you're a business person and you have to make a decision and you have to weigh up the pros and cons before making that decision? How can you trust your sacral response? Well, I've run businesses myself, and I have made decisions based on my sacral response. I remember one in particular that basically got me to fly all the way out to America to do a business deal for certain mail order items that I really thought would be good for the magazine. It was like, as soon as I saw it, I thought, yeah, this will be great. This will be great. There was a response from me in that. And I had a co-founder, and it was a 50-50 partnership. So at that time, it was like, well, the way we used to handle decisions was if one of us felt really strongly about something, the other one would step back and let that happen. Unless they were strongly opposed to it, and we never got to the point of being strongly opposed. So we worked it out really pretty well, but we were both sacral generators. We were not emotional generators. So the answer is basically, you follow your correct decision. If there's an urgent decision that needs to be made, you do your best. You do the best you can. You take in all the information. If there is a strong response towards something in that moment and you're emotional, then play for time if you can. If you can't, then you're going to have to go with it. But you will also have other people that will feel strongly about different sides of whatever it is. So again, you'll be hearing, if you're a leader, you'll be hearing from the people that are working for you on behalf of the country, on behalf of the business, if it's a bigger business, and you have a management team, you'll be taking all that in before making your decision. So yeah, ideally you need time to wait. If it's urgent, then you do the best you can with the team you've got. And again, it depends on how long you've been practicing strategy and authority. I mean, some things are really urgent, but not many. Not many. When it comes to business, if you know what you're doing in your business, you're already prepared for certain things coming down the line. If things get urgent, you're probably not managing it very well. It's it's unlikely that something suddenly urgent will happen. It does happen, And in those cases, you do your best. Because, of course, we can run businesses, we can do many things with whatever our inner authority is. We're not precluded from it. And it's not like we, we can't live correctly and successfully given our inner authority. We can. We do. Okay. Thank you for the question. The next question is from a Manifestor Mother who's having a hard time. From Alice. Hi, Richard. My question is regarding motherhood and caretaking. I'm a 6-2 manifestor with emotional authority. I have the 3740, the 4323, the 1222 channels, and quite a few individual gates. I stay at home with my kids and struggle with the lack of space and time to reach clarity on decisions, and also to discover insights through my 4323 channel. I crave being acknowledged when those insights do come through, but I have no outlet for sharing the knowledge, and I've gotten much better at waiting for the invitation to share insights from that channel. Good for you. How do Manifestor Mothers navigate the challenge of lack of space and time? I feel like I'm stuck responding to everyone, and yet I do enjoy certain aspects of caretaking, and it does feel natural to a point. Thank you, Richard. There are many things I could say here. First of all, the 1222, the Manifestor channel that you've got, can be very good in mundane social situations. I mean, one of the best, actually. So that can work quite well. The 3740 is there to basically look after and support the family. So you will enjoy that. You have got the will to be able to care from that point of view, but you will also be informing them that they need to take responsibility for themselves whenever possible and teach independence. I mean, I would certainly do that. And the 4323, it downloads so many things that you want time to exchange that information with other people. And if you don't have it, it can be exactly what you said, no one listens to me, no one hears me, and I'm not free. So how do you deal with it? Well, I do have an example of an emotional manifestor friend who basically had a job where she was traveling around the world teaching large numbers of people. How did she cope with it with children? Well, she had a live-in husband who loved to be supported by her. So it worked that way in that case. And when the children were old enough, she would take them to Egypt and to interesting places, even as young kids, and really increase the breadth of their experience. So, of course, not everyone is in that position. I mean, it is the dilemma that you've got. You want to be free, you want to be connected, you want to love your family, and you want your intelligent mind to be heard. All these things are true. I would probably consider having my mind recognized in some way through external to the family. So some social gathering in some way, either in the aura, which would probably be better for you, but then how can you leave the kids? If not, then meeting online with people who would be interested in your insights, and where there's a lively discussion, where you can also express the emotional side of you and the willful side of you in that dialogue. So I would be looking for a separate point of contact beyond the family. And other than that, and I don't know the age of the family, and I haven't seen your chart, so I can't be really specific. But if it was possible, through your mind and through your if you have will for it, to find a way to increase the income that's coming in, so you can actually bring in someone to look after the children sometimes, so you do get a break, to realize that you also need supported, you also need time to do nothing, which and you don't want to get really exhausted all the time. And as you say, you're kind of responding to the children, because that's what manifestors do. They pick up the energy from generators. and they can feel the response and recognize the response more than most generators. So yeah, it's not an ideal position. So yeah, it's not an ideal position, especially with an open root and an open spleen and an open sacral. Not easy, but that's really all I can suggest at the moment. I can't direct you based on the information you've given me in the way that I would like to, but that's the best I can do. Find another outlet for your mind that is recognized, and see if you can get out more online, if not literally. But you've got to get some space. You need some space. The 1222 is both social and antisocial. You know, and when you're antisocial and you have to deal with the children, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to make you angry. And that's natural, by the way. So yeah, you need some support. All right. Thank you for the question. And the next question is from Jennifer, and it's regarding the Raves and the 360 channel. I'd love your take on something. I have a family member who's a 5-1 sacral generator with only root and sacral defined and only one channel, the 360, is a quad right and has the left angle cross of wishes. Could this configuration align with what Ra said about those who may support or stabilize Rave children after 2027? It feels significant, and I'd really value your insight. I have seen someone, a mother, who had the 360, only the 360, and she had several children and a loving husband, and she was a great mother. And she kind of, I mean, it's not really a stabilizing force in the terms of it's a mutative channel with individual pulsic energy running through it. But she certainly managed to build a strong career at the same time as being a mother with several children. Now, how would that work with the Raves? Well, as a quad right human, it's not like she would be able to have direct contact with them because they do need their own species. But it's possible that it may be useful. I don't know. It depends on how clear this person is. You know, if they're full of conditioning in the open centers, then probably not. If they've been brought up in a way and they've found a way to be that pulsic force that they are, then maybe they really could be. It's not really a stabilizing force, but perhaps it could be more of a recognition of what's going on around the Raves, oracally. So the answer is really, I don't know, but I am curious and interested in what may happen. And at the end of the day, we have to just wait and see how many Raves are going to be coming through. When they're recognized, will there be institutions where they will be housed? And then we can know. We simply don't know how many or where they're going to come. All we know is that the numbers are going to increase over time. But I can't say. I'm waiting like the rest of you. I'm waiting to see. I'm sure there will be a shout out at some point from some human design enthusiast somewhere in the world that says, I found one, or there's a group of them, or whatever. And that'll be a happy day. Anyway, thank you for the question. And our next question is from Jelensi. And their question is, I have a request. Can you describe how oracally will look like or feel love between two manifestors that form an MG when in each other's aura? I mean, will it be that if these people really deeply bond, they will merge their closed auras? That they will open their nutshell for the other? That together they can become one circle? Me being a manifestor with a 1222 and a 41 gate, dreaming about some romantic, maybe cheesy stuff. Still, I'm very curious if you've observed something oracally. It's an interesting question. And again, of course, I can't ever know because I'm a manifesting generator. But in terms of what I've watched and my time with manifestors, what I've seen is that manifestors really like to, when they're together, they like to stand in their own space. by the side of the other. And that peace that is between the two of them is a tangible peace with no necessity to have a conversation necessarily. Now, whether you can say that is them opening their closed auras to each other, I don't know. I mean, there is, no matter who the manifestor is, manifestors are designed to be separate in that sense. And, they do open their auras. They can open their auras. I know I've been, I've had that happen to me, and it's like, whoa, I'm really now in, I'm kind of caught here, which can be very lovely. But it is something that is a possibility. At least that's from my experience. Now, whether they're going to do that as two manifestors all the time, I don't know. The phase of the deep love when two people get together, is a romantic, cheesy vision. And yes, it does happen, of course. But things change through a relationship. So it's not quite the same as a relationship continues. It matures, it moves. What I can say about the two of them coming together and the sacral being defined, who's going to do the work? That's really the question for all non-sacral beings. And in this case, I think they'll probably do it together. They will appreciate the other one doing something. And yeah, I think the chances are they will, when possible, they will do it together. And that indeed is a kind of love between two manifestors. Peace has a tangible quality to it. And I've never met it so profoundly as in the company of two manifestors that really enjoyed each other's company. Hopefully that was helpful. Thank you. Now, the next question is from Al's, a regular to the channel. And the question is this. I was wondering, could you tell us more about the importance of the 7-year cycles in human design? I understand this is a very vague question, but I was wondering, why are those cycles so important? And why are they 7 years? And also, besides the 7-year cycles, are the 7-month cycles or even 7-day cycles also meaningful in some way? Well, the way Ra answered the 7-year cycle, when he says it's, it takes 7 years to go through that important first level of the deconditioning process, he explained it by saying that the body's cells, will change within a 7-year cycle. So you have to physically be involved in the experiment for that long to give a chance for the cells to change. We do change through human design. We do. It's, I can't describe the cells. All I can tell you is my life is very, very different. And it's a kind of a halfway point in the 7-year cycle where there's quite a big click after about 3.5 years. There's shifts as you go through the 7-year cycles, and then that moves to another 7 years. If you're moving into the 8th and 9th year, then the chances are, if you're still in something, chances are it's going to move on for 14 years. So 7-year cycle is the way that it's a very important time measurement to bear in mind, whether that be in relationship or in your own growth or whatever it may be. It just fits. The 7 months and the 7 days, I have not heard anything that draws significance to that particularly. If anyone else knows that could be a relevant cycle, and in what way, please add it to the comments below. I would be curious. Okay, hope that helps. Thanks for the question. And our final question is quite a conundrum. This question is from Leo Riexar 8798. Hello, Richard. Thank you for your very helpful videos. I have kind of a question. I'm a 3/6 emotional generator, 27 years old, right angle cross of the vessel of love, triple definition with throat and spleen undefined, PRL, DRL. I'm an art student who finds myself so stuck. I have so many limitations, external in ways you can't imagine, and internal too, with gate 47.3. and the whole channel with the 64. I feel like I need to get something very big from inside me out through my art, something from my past. I have all these images and concepts in my head, and they are not so coherent. One of my courses at college is literally a course about getting what I want to say out to the world in any way I want: video, art installation, paintings. And I struggle so much to do it. Weeks are passing, the deadline is coming, this crazy wave of energy is within me, and it just won't come out. I'm scared there will be nothing for me to show at the end. Where can I rely on for answers? How can I create and be creative without feeling tied down? It seems to me that the way I wrote this question is the exact way my feelings and thinking about the situation is at right now. Sorry if I'm confusing. Hope you understand me better than I can explain myself. I also want to add that most days I feel crazy surges of energy that I never know how to channel out. It's stuck inside. I never have the answer to them. Also, I have innocence motivation. Okay, it's not an easy question to answer because I really need more information. I really need to look at the chart. But okay, so you have the 6447. You have this pictorial mind that comes through, and it looks at things from different perspectives, and it is very confusing. A bit like your question. It's actually perfect that you wrote it that way. But I get it. You want to get something out, and it's become a bit of a thing with you, hasn't it? You know, you also got this crazy energy that wants to come out. It's a lot wants to come out. I get it. And the emotional waves are just mixing it all up, and you're feeling this way and then that way, and how to put it all together. Well, there's no point me saying focus, because if I don't know if you've got any logic in you, or if you have, where it will be. So what I will say is, if you think about this channel, it's a bit like dreaming. You know, you find yourself in a dream where things are going on and things are happening. And each night we have a series of episodes in the dreaming world. So rather than try to get it all out, you know, think about it as an episode. Think about it as something that is going to take time to all come out. But you can release some of it. You can get some of it out in a pictorial way that really is highly mutative. I don't know what your skills are in terms of art or video production. I don't know. If it was art, I would start with splashing paint on and just see what comes out of it and make it random, like your thoughts, until something emerges from the painting that you can put the outline around and see what comes out in front of you, to actually experience the confusion and see what comes through what paint you put on and the colors that you feel to put on in that moment, and then you may change them or whatever. I would start by just letting out what can come out in the easiest way possible given the deadline. If you wanted to speak to the theme of getting something out into the world, maybe you speak from your experience of finding it very difficult. You know, maybe in order to see the result of the painting, they have to look through a lens of some sort. You know, they have to narrow down in order to see it in some way. So they have to put on a headgear or something with an eyepiece. I don't know. You know, I mean, the imagination is vast. You know, but make it interesting. You're a 3/6. You're going to make it interesting. If you want to use the themes of the open throat and the open spleen in your creative piece, then what is both vulnerable and silent? You know, can you give through whatever you put out there, can you give that sense of vulnerability and silence to the people who view the art? You ask, how can I create and be creative without feeling tied down? Well, maybe you have to feel tied down in order to be creative. It is just thought. Even in the line of self-oppression, it's just thought. if you're feeling and keep feeling tied down, then couldn't that be part of the imagery that you bring out? And it doesn't have to be human either. It could be anything. So really what I would say to you is to feel deeper into the feeling. And I understand that you're a triple split, and I understand that things shift. I would take the quandary you're in out into public spaces, you know, go and have a coffee somewhere where there's people passing by, so that all three sides of you feel more internally connected for a little while. You know, hopeless trying to work this out on your own when you're a triple split. You've got to move into the public aura. That for sure I would do. But what is this, the feeling that keeps coming back again and again? It sounds like, you know, it's feeling trapped. It sounds like it's feeling tied down. It sounds like there's nowhere out and it's all too confusing, which is very visual to me when I say these words and I think about all the different things that could come from that. And I also have the 47.3 and the 47.6 in an open center unconsciously. But, you know, I pick up on these things. So there are many images that would show that. So it may be, rather than thinking about what it is that needs to come out of you, to express what is actually happening for you. You know, feeling that you can't. What's that look like? What are the images that would bring that out? What is the way of viewing them? Another image that comes up for me is a clock that, instead of ticking all the way round, you know, gets stuck and bounces back as if it can't go, it can't move beyond a certain point, you know, but you can see it click, 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 and then reset, click, click, click. Something like that. It depends how technically minded you are. I mean, I would have fun with it, you know. You've got one of the most chaotic profiles that can exist. Have fun with it, you know. Let's see what comes out, but you got to throw yourself into it in some way. There's no point endlessly thinking and getting under more and more panic about, you know, I haven't done anything, what am I going to show? You know, join yourself up by going to the public aura, you know, with the intention that something's going to come out in the way that I've described, if that's helpful. But express not being able to bring it out in different ways. Express that. Express what's going on. Express the truth of what's going on for you. But that would be an interesting art piece. The 6447 is also very relational, not just in terms of images, but also in terms of relationship. It's from the quarter of duality. So, I mean, what I really think would be most useful to you is a discussion, you know, is to talk to someone about it, and for you to get to feel the feelings moving in you about whatever it may be. And it begins with stuckness. You know, if you have if you want to put the two together, think about a maze. Think about the different perspectives of a maze. You know, someone down on ground level, they're just seeing these high hedges everywhere. Or if they were making it, they'd be making these high hedges. It wouldn't make any sense, you know, that keeps going round. It's just more and more of the same, the path and the hedge, the path and the hedge. But from above, it's a whole beautiful creation. It's just, it depends where you're looking from. When you have an open throat, there is no fixed context. If there is a gate you've got in your open throat, look at that theme of the gate. Maybe that's something that you could express in some way. If you're finding yourself being stuck, bring in a manifestor. If you have a manifestor friend, they are very good at firing things up. I mean, they are. So yeah, it's you really want to talk about it with someone. And I'm kind of having a dialogue with you when you're, you know, I can't hear what you're responding to from what I'm saying. You know, if we were to have a dialogue, there would be movement. There would be movement within you as different ideas are put forward, and you see how you respond to that. So I think dialogue's needed. So Context has to be created. You know that, I know that. In dialogue, I think it will come out. If you've got a good pal you can talk to about it, who is perhaps also an art student. The context can be created from the power within you when you get there. A beginning can happen. Now, it may not be the final piece. It's like putting the paint on the canvas. You begin, but that's your context. Once the context is there, you can build upon it. If you're spending too much time just thinking about it and there's no context, it's going to go on and on and on, that doesn't go anywhere. You can also think in terms of spirals as a way of imaging the movement through confusion. It can be an angry movement, it can be a lost movement, or it can be a curious movement. So there's a lot of diversity in this channel. You could take that theme into another direction by having a slowed down version of a pinball table, the ball bearing being hit from one place to another, not being able to get out, and just at the mercy of whatever levers that it hits. Perhaps slowed down in time, which is something that would also be fitting for that channel. Perhaps in sepia or in black and white behind something. But hey, I could go on for I could go on forever. Hopefully some of these ideas will spark something in you. Whatever the context is, you create the context, and you can always change it. You can always tear it up and do something else. But the beginning of it, the beginning of getting into something is what's needed. Then you're off. And then we'll see what happens. Anyway, good luck with it. Good luck. Okay, well, I hope that's been helpful, and I hope everyone has enjoyed this. And if you have, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll be back again next week with something completely different, and hopefully it'll be a cooler day. Bye for now.